call this meeting to order. The Walpole Board of Sewer and Water Commission. We're at the Delaney Treatment Plant on Monday, June 10th, 2024. We have a full five-member commission present. And we have our newly re-elected commissioner, Mr. Pradeep Mishra. Congratulations. And we also have our emeritus member for his 40th year, Patrick Fasanello.
Thank you.
None other than. Okay, there's a superintendent's report. Oh, why don't we do this? I guess we have a reorganization scheduled. See if there's... All right, we have May 13th.
I have a few, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
On page 2, is Terry coming? No. All right. Maybe about 2 inches down, it says "and also," and the number 1 through Route 95. I think that instead of the number 1, it should be O-N-E, the word 1.
Route 1.
Oh, so you want to say route? Oh, that makes sense there. Okay, so make that route 1 through 95. Okay. Going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines more, it says redundancy, the commission, and the future. I did see how that made sense. So looking back, said we would love redundancy and are willing to pay a reasonable amount. So I would have struck out the commission and the future. I don't know where that came and didn't make any sense.
Okay, so we're going to cross out the words "the commission"
And the future.
and "the future."
Yes, okay. And
Okay, we say that, so
at the-
whoever's going to transcribe this knows.
yeah,
"The commission" and "the future" is going to be eliminated.
okay. And if we're at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, where it says zoning, we are building lots of apartments in Walpole. I would lowercase apartments instead of capital. See that, John? If you just go up the left side till you see the word zoning, period.
Yeah.
We are building lots of apartments.
Okay, yep,
So I'm suggesting there's no reason for a capital there.
all right.
On page 3, if we look at the last line, Mr. Abbott, that they have fire flow problems, so there, it should be T-H-E-I-R. It's their problems. Got that, John?
Yeah, okay. The last word, in other words.
Yeah. And then on page 4, 2 lines down, continues that it would have taken other customers to switch from the south high-pressure zone. I'm going to change the "to switch" to taking other customers out from the, so the words "to switch" go with the word "out." We're going to take them out.
Okay.
And if you go down to the bottom, a comment request memo from the planning board. Starts off Mr. Abbott. The next one says, through whomever turned it back. I think it should be the courts. The courts were the ones why they had to remand.
So through...
Instead of with whomever, I would have put the courts. And that's all that I found.
All right.
So if there's
No
no
one else?
others, I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of May 13th with the changes we just described.
Okay. Second? Oh, hold on.
Just on page 4,
Page 4.
okay, where it says, Mr. Fassel knows that he can see waiving the fee, but he would like to see connecting the two water mains connected? Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yes.
But it could be better passed.
Yes, but I think it's okay. So we
I
have
guess
a
we
motion
know
and
what
a
it
second,
means.
I believe.
Okay. All right, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. 401 on the minutes from the 13th of May. Okay. Now, I guess we have reorganization opportunity. So we'll see, is there, we have any nominations for chairman?
I nominate Dr. Hassenjäger for chairman.
I second it.
Second, okay. Any other nominations? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, 5-0. Now we'll take nominations for clerk.
Yeah, I nominate Pradeep Mishra for clerk.
I'll second that. Any other nominations? No? Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? 5-0-0. Very good. So we can continue to some of our agenda items here. We have superintendent status, I guess, would be one thing we could do.
So the guys went pretty busy with weeks this round. We had Jarvis Farm on the 20th of May, it's on a 2-inch line, so halfway down. It's coming up. 21st, we had a leak, service leak at One Terrace, it was at the service box. The 22nd of May, we had a service leak on Buckboard Drive, it was right before the curb stop. On June 4th, we had a water main break, 350 West Street, that's near Russo. And that was an 8-inch lateral crack that was 4 feet long.
Wow.
On the 5th, we had a leak at Norfolk and West, that was a service of corporation. Again on the 5th, that evening, we had a leak on Route 1 North near the Walker Motel, that was an 8-inch circle crack. Nothing to report on the EMTUs, no issues. We're up to 110 units installed in the beacon system,
Did you say 200 or
110.
110?
It's continuing to run well. We gained another account that's using the app now, so we have 10.
Why is the app adoption so low?
I'm not sure, actually, I'm surprised it's that high, that's about 10%, a little less. But they're getting the word, they're getting information that it's available, whether they choose to use it or not, it's up to them. Yeah, water main replacement project, Burr Street, that's installed, we're still disinfecting that. We had a TC hit on that and some HPC, so we're going to disinfect that again. Peach Street, it's mostly installed, should be done by the end of this week as far as installation goes, then that'll go forward with disinfection. And it'll be followed by Spring and Allen, and last one should be Riverview. And that's a routine test.
I have a question about this is the largest number of leaks that I can ever recall in a period of time. Is there are people identifying and calling them in, or are they something that was going and we happened by and saw it, or?
Yeah, they're servicing. So the water main breaks, that's obvious, but
Yeah. Oh, just seem,
Any of this is due to road accident or anything? No?
not aware of no stuff in road shifting.
So, like Jarvis Farm, like, is it because of vehicle? Was it inside the farm or?
No.
Okay.
No, it was in the roadways, most of the way down, halfway down.
Okay.
And these are all in different parts of town, so it's scattered.
All right, one thing, Scott, I would ask about, I don't know if any of the commissioners received this mailer?
yes.
For the Ponset River?
Yeah, it cites a message from the superintendent.
Yeah.
I think it was very good. I'm just curious about, was the funding for this, did they provide the funding to mail?
No, we paid for it.
We did, and we
It's
put
part
their
of-
logo on here as well, right? It's part, I know it's part of our thing, I'm just asking. It's a nice piece, put it that way. I don't know, anybody have any comments about that? I think it's,
No, as part of our
Yes.
water withdrawal permit, we have to do things like that.
I would like to say something, though. Anything that goes out to the public like this, we should have some notification before it hits the public. It's just pro forma and something that should happen. It's kind of rude to send out stuff about the water and where the sewer and water commission is, and we had no idea this was coming out. And as you say, it's fine, but, you know, to send these things out with us known is not really appropriate.
yeah, no, I would just echo what you say. I think that we have an obligation and we have an entity that helps us fulfill that obligation, the Neponset River watershed, but we don't necessarily philosophically or public policy-wise agree with them on many things. So it's not like we're hand in glove with them. It just happens when we in conservation. So, no, but good, I think your message is good.
Yeah, this is gonna be an ongoing.
But it does carry our seal on it. See, that's the thing.
This is gonna be an ongoing program, and I'll certainly give you a heads up that it's in the works.
Can we get reviewed before it goes to public,
We can
like, just
split
for
this.
review? Yeah, and it's nothing to do with this particular program, water conservation program, but in general, whether all the messages make sense at a different point of time. Some may be outdated, some may be, so it's better to review.
Okay. All right. We have, you want to work on some of the items here? We
I
have,
would just go right to correspondence and let's blast through the, a lot of the items on the agenda aren't.
well, we have this, we have the Alserabi Estates looking for comment. Now, that was the one, Patrick, if you recall, you were asking for the redundancy of the water line.
Yes, the way to bring it up into that area.
And it's not,
But you know what? Could we do Commissioner Abbott's memos first?
sure.
Because people might be coming for that, okay? It's possible they could show up.
That's right, too.
But,
That's right, yeah, okay.
Commissioner Abbott has some, breakdown of revenue numbers and amounts of water and data. I don't know if people will come to dispute his data, I doubt it. But, so it's sort of informative that,
Well, thank you, that's a good idea.
it won't, I don't think
It's
it's gonna be any.
correspondence 2 and 3. We can turn to those.
It's even though today is the 10th, I have not received the May results. So this is, the last that we had was the April revenue numbers, correspondence to.
And we already crossed the revenue, the budgeted revenue, 6.1 million for 2024. Actuals are 6.3 million.
Yeah, user charges, you can see, which is the one that's driven by the rates. We're about 400,000 under the budget amount.
Okay. And
Yes, I mean, there's a couple items that are more than was expected, was the new entrance fees. We were expecting 210, and we were almost 3 times that amount. And the miscellaneous, instead of 100,000, slightly more than 400. But if you look at the second line, that's the one that's driven by our rates. And so at the end of April, we were about, 400,000 below the budget amount. And so we would have May and June. So, since usually they're around $400,000, I'm really confident that we will exceed the budget amount, probably by 400,000. And the sewer sort of follows the same pattern since it's driven by the water rates, so.
And the one thing which I want to point out there, although the pumping rates were lower than
Yeah,
last calendar year, the numbers.
yeah, if you go to correspondence 3, you can see that for the last 2 months, and I have the June, of course, we won't get until Steve gets me those numbers the first day of the month, so it's hard to tell whether there's going to be a trend or not, but
But overall, the trends looks healthy, at least from the revenue point of view.
yeah, the revenue, we're going to be okay, and in fact, town meeting, you remember there were 3 articles, the FY '25 water, FY '25 sewer, and then there was that third one, which was in case we end up short, that's how we would have addressed it, and that was a no action, it was on the consolidated vote there, so.
Okay, any other comments?
No,
Any other
I have no
comments? You
comments,
said?
no,
Okay.
no.
We move to the sewer then. The sewer
Yep.
has a
Yep.
difference, so, again, the 5.3 rate usage charges and the actual is 4.4. On the budget, we had total budget of 5.8 million and then we're getting actual of 5.4 by end of April. So I think it would be okay to reach the target again.
Yeah, again, you see that like in April, the user fees was 319, so doubling that, it looks like there's a good chance that we'll meet our estimates there.
And one normal observation, the users fees, the reason they're high is because of lot of apartments which are coming up.
I don't think, well, one thing that I have checked into is that apartments definitely use less water, which means they have less sewer. I don't have a count of like the number of accounts that are actually on sewer. I mean, I certainly can get that information if think that would be useful.
In general, I think like this kind of meeting, like public meeting, we should find out like how many, to the superintendent, how many new connections were actually given in that fiscal year.
Yeah, that's,
Instead
Yeah,
of
we have
looking
that,
at-
Scott, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
instead of, looking at the financial number,
Right.
we should at least be informed about the number of new connections.
And that's, it's an interesting, someone could do a cost analysis based on the fact you have a couple of large buildings within a quarter of an acre downtown that maybe have 150 and 150, maybe say 300 units in them. Now, they may be useless because there's less residents and less square footage, but they're 100% sewer, 100% water. And there's not a lot of transmission lines to them as opposed to 3 100-house subdivisions, which would probably be on 60 acres and involve miles of street and roads and a lot of infrastructure that way. So the fixed cost versus variable cost in the model is different for high-density residential, I think, that's what he's saying, and it's true, it's a slightly different financial model than the traditional one of the single-family homes. Okay, we good with this then? Anybody else?
Good.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Go back to comment request number 1
Yeah.
and 2.
You're right, they could be coming in, that's kind of, let's see, we go to old business, or probably as far as discussion, Warwick Road, well, maybe Fox Hill Drive, MWRA connection. You want to go to old business instead, or we have 10 minutes till the public rate hearing. Why don't we do that? We'll just go down to Jarvis Farm and get old business out of the way. who's the engineer for Alserabi? It's Dan Merrickin, is that right? Is it? I think it is. Legacy Engineering?
Which topic we are talking about?
So I'm just saying, that someone might be coming in for that Alserabi, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
If they
So
would
that
be.
is 7 p.m., isn't it? What time is that?
Well, that one
7
was
o'clock.
Union Square. We could address anything other than the rate hearing and the 7 o'clock opinion is,
Oh,
So, well, let's do the old business, just MWRA water connection.
well, those are related to the rate hearing, so I would take or will be related to them. Well, no, I take that back. That is just related to the MWRA connection.
Well, I got a question about Jarvis Farm.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. And it's the one I ask, what's happening? Are we getting anything happening on the driveway? I know the recreation department this week didn't at least use Jarvis Farm, but they did use it after we complained, which I find to be, not the best thing in the world. What's happening at Jarvis Farm? Anything new and interesting or not?
So, Jarvis Farm, we have a bid out there for anybody who wants to bid on the cabins that have been declared surplus. That's closing, I believe, on this Wednesday.
The what?
The cabins that have fallen down.
Okay, are we ever gonna look at those cabins? We need to go, somebody has to, from the commission, has to go check them out.
They have been declared surplus.
Huh?
They have already been declared surplus.
Yeah. Who declared them surplus?
Select board.
Select Board.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. We should have some say in that, since they're ours. Has anybody seen these cabins?
I have, and
Up close and
Jeff
personal?
has, I have.
Last week. Taking a look
Yeah,
at all the
I was
ones
up
that-
there as well.
And do you concur that
Yeah, a
these
lot of them
are,
rotted and.
should be get rid of?
It's a lot of the ones in the back up on the hill.
Yeah.
They're in really bad shape.
I'm unfamiliar with these, except
They're
for the big
keeping the
ones.
good ones that are by the field, Patrick,
How many are there?
that are up for surplus.
We're keeping 10.
Okay, so
A lot of those ones that are declared surplus can probably end up in a dumpster.
when you say clear, how much is it gonna cost us to get rid of those?
Whatever a dumpster costs.
Huh?
Whatever a dumpster costs, we'll use our own personnel.
Okay, it's our own people gonna do it? And what do you do? Take
They'll break them down,
with the machine?
whatever works best.
Okay. All right, that's what I wanted to know.
How's that survey going?
Which survey?
The survey that we put out the bid. Remember, we got it back, but the scope was wrong?
No, that's going back to market head.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that the 10 derelict cabins be removed from Jarvis Farm.
They already are.
Huh?
They already are. If nobody takes them, they're gonna be hauled away in a dumpster.
That's my motion, Scott.
Okay?
My objection too is we don't know whether it's, is it 10, is it 11,
There's
is it
7 that are
9?
being-
That's what I asked. They said
No, I said
It's
they were
about-
keeping 10.
about 10.
There's 7 that are going out for bid, if you want to bid on them, to take them down and dismantle them.
So the 7, the number would be 7 instead of 10.
Okay,
Keeping
7.
some of the
The
cabins.
7, whatever the number is. Yeah,
Okay. so
that's what I'm moving.
Okay, I'll second your motion. Do I need discussion of it?
No, I just, I wanted to put it on the record as something.
Agree to it.
Yeah, I do, I agree to it. I think
Okay.
they should be taken out. They're only no good can come of having them there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
I'll abstain too.
Okay.
since we've decided this a long time ago.
I don't know why they'd want to keep
We had the
them, but hey,
requirements.
if you want to keep them there, then that's fine, Commissioner Abbott.
No,
You can keep
we,
them, but I think they're going to go.
I think they are too, and we'd long addressed that, but
Well, maybe
Okay,
you have.
so what about meters to cash?
So I received this document now on the, as a printed, so I didn't have time to review, but going through it, looks a lot of issues here. Lot of billing cycles, dates are not there. One example I am seeing is that your lag time, although you're claiming that it's 30 days, the actual lag time is 36 days. For example, cycle 4, the user's end was 4/7, which is April 7th, but the bill date was 5/13. So that itself is 36 days of lag time. So that's itself, the document itself is not
That's,
correct for us to,
that's an internal document, we can look at those numbers and see if they add up.
yeah, we need correct lag days and, correct billing dates. This document is not useful for us. And when you present it for a public discussion, I think we need a proper documentation about lag days, billing days, and all that, etc.
I think that's a document, and I've seen it for a number of years there, it sets up initially as their target as to when they're going to do things. I don't recall ever seeing once a cycle has gone out that they go back and address it. Now, certainly, if you want, to them to correct it once the bill actually goes down to the collector's office and we know the actual date, I mean, that could be.
And that's the reason we were asking for this for the
Okay,
last 3-4 months,
yeah.
to have a review, publicly review this and understand how much lag happens during the cycle. But I think there's no transparency to be truthful here. We need to have a proper billing. We can't have different lag times, different claims that billings are happening on time. 36 days, 32 days, 36 days, it's happening in almost every cycle. And we need to have a proper documentation. So I think the next time we'd like to know the correct lag times. Let's make it.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, we have 2 minutes left. Why don't we just get ready for the rate hearing, 6:30.
While we have a minute here, are we going to cancel any of the August meetings or any of the summer meetings, as we usually do?
As we usually do. We usually have one meeting in July and one in August.
That's usually what we do. Are we going to do that this year?
Yes, I think we will.
Okay, so we should probably get those dates lined up.
Okay?
And
So,
I believe our schedule is in our website there, for the entire year.
In July, we're only on the meeting on the 22nd. I won't be here for that.
July 22nd is the meeting in July. What do they got for August,
August
Jeff?
12th and 26th. I'll be around for the 26th, but not the 12th.
Okay, I won't be here, and I'm away all July.
you're not here for the 4th or anything?
No, I'm not here for the 4th.
Why wouldn't we have the meeting the second Monday of July?
Yeah, then the 12th, we probably gonna need.
Are people going away or anything in July, besides me?
I'm going away at the end of the month.
I'm going in June.
So maybe we need a better date in July to,
How about what is it, July 12th?
July 12th is Friday,
Well, then what would it be, 12th, 13th, 14th?
15th.
Well,
So July 15th, that's doable for me.
no, I can't make that either. I'm going that week. So, let's see, we got the 4th, that's probably not, unless we did it the first week. Is there a meeting, do you have the schedule there?
Yeah.
It'll be July 1st,
Which one seems to know?
it'll be the Monday.
Well, if, we could make that our next meeting, July 1st. And then have it, pick a date in August.
There's a meeting June 24th, too.
What?
June 24th is the next scheduled meeting.
I know,
So then, is there going to be enough in a week's worth of...
that's what, I'm wondering whether, I said instead of that, why don't we have a meeting, like the 1st,
I can do
July.
July 1st.
and then we could have a meeting in August. What was
Should we
that?
do August 19th? That's the 3rd.
Yeah, I can do that. Are you gonna be back,
I'm back on July 5th.
Bill? The 19th?
Of August?
Well, I don't know. I don't have anything planned, so unless something comes up, I'll plan on being at all the meetings.
So the 4 of us could do it, and you wouldn't be here anyway, right?
I'm not here in July, I'm not here.
So we could do that for August. So it'd be the July 1st and August 19th.
And if the weather's nice, I won't be here in June.
I don't blame you.
I think we're at 60.
All right, I guess we're gonna open the rate hearing and possibly, I see Mr. Johnson walked in, so maybe we want to hear the recommendations of the town administration.
Should we open the hearing?
Yeah,
Make a motion to open the hearing.
all, a motion to open the hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, 500. Okay, hearing being open, I recognize Mr. Johnson.
Sure. So what you have in front of you is a memo dated May 17th. Follow-up to the memo I provided in late February with the rate information.
Mr. Johnson, would you please move your mic so they can hear you at home?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. So basically, we're looking at some modest rate increases, keeping with the 4-tier system on the water side. Tier 1, 1%, Tier 2, 1%, Tier 3, 265, and Tier 4, 265. Mr. Chair, would you like to review sewer next, or we want to take any questions on water, or?
Yeah, why don't we just see if anybody has any comments on the water? Okay.
The only question I have is like, if you keep on changing the different tier rates at different percentage, the gap will be increasing, isn't it? So do you have any modeling where it can be one rate increase for all the tiers, like percentage wise, not.
I'm sorry.
So you have for tier 1, tier 2, 1% rate, and tier 3 and 4, 2.65% rate. But what I was expecting is that one common percentage rate increase for next fiscal year.
We could certainly do that if you'd like, to delay the rates.
No, I'm just saying, like, did you try, like, the reason of being like this is to keep the tier separate?
I think the reason, the take back we got from the commissioners back in, I think it was February or March, was, keep it low, try to keep it somewhat consistent. There's obviously an incentive to stay with the tier 1 and 2 since they're just the 1%. The tier 4 is our largest users, are Siemens and I think Preserve's in there, right, Rick? Yeah. So if you'd like us to do that next year, we could certainly do that, or however you prefer.
If we, when we get to the MWRA section, I wrote up the impact of the rates, and in that case, I did just apply the same percentage across the board, but it was based on that 1%, which is being proposed for this fiscal year. But it can be done. I wouldn't do it at this point.
Yeah,
The rates-
I'm just
yeah.
discussing,
Yeah.
just for discussion, like,
Yeah.
because I think in future, we were discussing about all those capital fees or other fees, so we have to be consistent on that part of it, like being the tier rate increase.
So we can certainly do that next year, and I understand what you're saying. I know the commissioners have talked about a capital fee or something like some other towns do. So I think if next year, as you'll see, there's some significant items on there. That if the commissioners, if the sense I'm getting from this commissioners, do a capital fee and then, I don't know, have a 2.5% across the board, whatever the number is next year, we can certainly do that.
The other thing, Pradeep, I think, was that philosophically about, declining block or inclining block pricing, that philosophically, this was sort of designed to allow us to encourage people not to conserve water and not overuse water or abuse the use of water. So larger users, people who have extensive sprinkling systems and outdoor spas and pools and so forth will pay more because they're what they call heavy users. That's all.
Mr. Chairman, seeing that there isn't any significant discussion on what's being proposed, I'd make a motion that we adopt what is presented.
Well, he's gonna do the sewer too, I think.
We did have a little bit of conversation about having a different tier,
Right.
adding a tier.
And it's
an
addressed,
Industrial tier.
right.
And I know we just put it across there, but I wonder how town administration thinks about having an industrial tier that would take into effect some of the very large users in the town.
We would need some direction from the commissioners as to what's the cutoff. I know that there was a brief talk about that back in the winter, but we would need your board to set the parameters of, is that just the top 2% users, top 5%? Because I mentioned Siemens and I mentioned the preserve, residential and commercial on there. But do you want to just do only commercial, or do you just want to do top through 2, 3, 4, 5%, whatever? I would need some direction from the commissioners.
Yeah, I know. Because in the future, some of these big users, like say, one user uses one of the capacity of one of our wells. So, that's a large user. It could be that some of these big companies could receive water directly from the MWRA. Of course, the state law says they have to go through us first. So we would have to charge them a rate for that water. Those are a couple of things I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about industrial water tier.
Mr. Chairman, I can provide a breakdown of who our biggest users are, but I can tell you right now, the bulk of them are residential. We don't have very much big industrial users, Pat.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
Well, I'm saying if you're,
I'm talking about having a rate in place
okay.
for the future.
Yes, but I'm just saying,
Different slab, like
we could set something up, but I'm just saying if you're thinking that we're going to be able to have a bunch of industrial users, they don't exist in
Well,
Walpole.
here's the
So
thing.
we can,
You're talking in the present, and I'm looking towards the future.
okay,
That's the
Right.
difference here. And I'm saying that we probably should have these things in place instead of bringing them in place after the fact, where we get
Yeah.
into big trouble because that's post facto
Right.
situation. So that's what I'm talking about.
okay.
So we'll have some time over the next
So
year to
Rick
kind of
just
decide
mentioned
this.
to me, so top 5 are Siemens, but after that, it's 4 residential. It's 94 West, 1034 East, New Pond, and, Preserve. So, those are top 5.
Well, those are residential businesses.
Yeah.
A car wash is the number 5th. There is a huge drop between the first one and number 2.
Well, a car wash brings up an interesting point, and I've asked this a million times, and they never gave me a satisfactory answer. They said they recycle their water.
That one does. The one on
Could you
the
explain?
road,
Okay,
the one on road.
I wonder how they recycle it.
You'd have to ask them, but I can tell you,
Well, I've asked them and I never got a good answer. Anyway, that was just,
yes.
that's all.
I can tell you, comparing the other car washes, they're recycling. Either that or nobody's going there, and I can attest that people go
Are
there.
there any who aren't recycling the water?
Oh, yeah.
They're just pushing it through?
Yeah, we had, you can just look at the amount of water difference between the two, and you know that one's doing recycling and the others, maybe if they're doing it, they're not nearly as effective as that one. And we did have somebody come in who we suggested maybe they want to, get a well because it was hurting their business. You can have that.
I have a question, like when you're saying industrial, do you mean a different tier 4, tier 5, or the industrial as a different group of customer?
I can't hear.
Do you think the industrial is a different group of customer than residential and commercial? So we have residential commercial rates.
Yeah,
We have irrigation rates,
yeah.
and we have out of town residential
Yeah.
commercial rate.
And I think that we should think about this, do some thinking about that we should have another rate in case we ever need it.
So that is not a tier, that's why I want to, I am getting confused when you say tier, because the tier is within the same slab.
No,
same
it would be
category.
something that we would put in.
Different.
Can I suggest that each one who's interested in this, supply, the information so that you get the administration may have 3 or 4 different approaches, can come with what's,
Okay.
rather than attempting to resolve it at this point, because we're not going to have it, we're not going to have it for this year.
Resolving the discussion.
Yeah.
So that-
That's not our job. Our job is to design policy. So if we need data, we can ask the town administration. They're the experts on data.
Plug it in.
They can generate data for us. And then with that data, we can decide the policy. That's how it works.
So even if you say today that, okay, you want an industrial group of a customer to be a separate block or, whatever slabs, the rate can be same, whatever we are discussing now, but next year, that rates can be different because we don't know the rates because we don't have the data. So that's the point I'm trying to say.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the sewer then.
Okay. So the sewer, it's a one block, one tier, as you know. Recommended increase is 5.05%. Significant amount of that is attributed to the MWRA rate, therefore, to get rid of our wastewater, as you all know. I think that went up for, what is it over? Yeah. That's it.
So,
That's the rate to us.
Yeah.
So I think we discussed last year, but it's about tier system in the sewer also, like having either the same tier as water, like by users, so that we can charge more to the heavy users. And I've seen this, of course, the Boston Water and Sewer Department does that. It's the same tier for water and sewer, rates are different. And Norwood, the sewer rate jumps almost like it doubles after a tier. And they have 2-tier system. And basically try to catch us of the industrial or heavy users. So we should think of having the tier system even in the sewer for the future rates.
Okay, we can certainly do that, but again, I just need to know, I understand you may be looking at for a pretty, is that what the whole commission wanted? And we don't have to settle this
No,
now,
no, so
but like,
I think that when, I'm going back to the same
Yeah.
industrial discussion.
what, I guess what I would ask is maybe in the fall before we set the budgets, because the budgets are due in around November, December. Maybe around that timeframe, the commission could put it on an agenda. Is this what the whole commission wants? But the Commissioner Vasanello's extra tier or, future tier, I don't know specifically, do you want something, maybe there's some big Amazon store coming in, or I need some more information as to what you may want with that, so. But if you could do that in the late fall, early winter, that way we can certainly do that.
All right, I do have one editorial, Rick, or Jim. We had discussed this before, but on the fire suppression assessments, 100 customers, we had a discussion about that, and the commission agreed that it wasn't for individual residential homes. It was for,
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I think you can address that. I know what your concern is, John, after the conversation we had the other day. So if you look in your current fee schedule, where it outlines what the fire suppression charges are, you can simply exclude single-family residences that not applicable to single-family residents.
so I want to do that on this.
Right, and then you can vote that tonight.
Yes, we did.
Right.
I was
And then we
just
just
looking to
simply
see,
incorporate it into the
is it
rate
in the
schedule.
rate schedule?
So that's
To
something.
indicate that it's not applicable to a single-family residence.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Yeah, it's right here,
Yeah.
page 5.
Page 5,
Page 5 in the fee schedule is the fire suppression assessment. 2 inches or less, it's $100, medium, 3, 4, 6, 500, large, 8 inch or greater, $1,000.
Mr. Chairman, if unless there's more discussion on the sewer, I mean, we could go and address the fee schedule, in which case we could, one change would be the fire sprinkler service line charge, where we do have the fire suppression assessment. We can add in parentheses, commercial only, or doesn't apply to residential, something to that effect.
Yeah, I would say it doesn't apply to single-family residential. Again, we had that discussion before. But
Yeah.
we should get it into the schedule.
Right,
That's
this
my
is the
point.
perfect opportunity to do
Yeah.
it.
Okay. All right, Jim, anything else?
Oh, that's it.
I got one more item on the final reading costs. We had a large discussion on that. I mean, originally it was set at 75 and 100, because people were, you were sending a guy to go on site. We identified that's not happening. It's a,
This is on page 2 in the fee schedule.
you know, it's a electronic read, and the amount of time and effort into producing the paper bill seemed a little less than what we were charging, so. Do you recall, like, how much time was it to actually put it together?
I don't recall the amount of time, but I was going to discussion as far as, you know, it had changed with time.
I mean, this is still the same, right? This hasn't changed.
So
Do you guys want to look at lowering, I mean, that was the discussion, right?
So the discussion was, one of the owner, he was claiming that no one came to his house, and then he was still charged $75 for the final reading. So we were trying to make a case saying that in old times, the people used to come and take the reading, but
I recall, the site visit is gone, but the slip paperwork is done in the office.
Yeah, I mean, if the administration fee is, I mean, if 75 is about in line with the amount of administrative cost to produce that bill, I'm fine with it, but
I'd leave it the way it is.
leave it for now.
I mean, even though it can be done electronically, there is administrative paperwork that has to be done, so.
We'll look at it again another time.
Anybody else on that one? Leave the
I do have a question, not a change, but our entrance fees, and I think, Rick, you had told me we were investigating that. I'm not suggesting a change here, but it's something that we should look
We
into.
did contract with Raftellus to review the fees. That in itself, getting them to complete the study was a challenge. But they do, it's currently in draft form, and based on their recommendation, your connection fees are right where they should be. I think there was like an $18 increase in one of them, and maybe a $12 increase in the other, but
Okay,
for all intents and purposes, they're where they need to be.
all right, then I would say we don't have to change them if that's, but they hadn't been addressed in some time, and I knew that was underway, so.
Okay. All right, Pradeep, are you good then? Will you have anything else? Patrick,
Yes,
do you have any other?
I don't. I
Okay.
don't, I had one thing I circled here, but on page 2, out-of-town surcharge, non-residential, It's the same as the out-of-town surcharge for residential. It probably should be a little bit more for the businesses that are out of town that are getting our water. So I would propose that we maybe push it up, and I'll leave that. I don't know what would be appropriate, but it shouldn't be the same. I was thinking either 50 or 100 bucks more for the businesses out of town who are getting our water and making a profit.
Which page is it?
Okay, it's
Page 2, third from the bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
So you suggesting 150, Pat?
Is that your suggestion?
I think we have one customer who falls into this category,
Well,
but
Okay.
50, yes, I'm okay with going there.
you want to move that?
I'll move $150 for that.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
So this,
Abstain?
are we including the fire suppression thing that we just, as included in that vote? Because that would,
It would make a separate vote for that.
all right. I'll make a motion on the fire suppression that we add in parentheses right after fire suppression assessment. This is on
What
page
page
5.
you on here?
5.
Page 5.
Page
In
5.
parentheses, does not apply to single-family residents, close parentheses.
Anybody second that?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Wait a second, I'm not there yet. Tell me, say this again?
Page 5,
Yeah, I'm on page 5.
all right, about an inch down, big letters, fire sprinkler service line.
Yes,
Then
okay.
all sizes connection, and then fire suppression assessment.
Yes.
Immediately after that, in parentheses.
I see the-
My motion was, does not apply to single-family residents, close parentheses.
Yes, that's our policy.
Yes,
You want it written in?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you. Okay.
Make
Go
a
ahead.
motion to close the public hearing?
Rates as, okay, yeah.
Septic rate,
That was
leave it the same.
that was gonna be my question.
Where are we at, 6,
Yeah.
7,
How much money did we make last
6 or
year?
7 cents?
We were trying to lower it, right?
I think we went to 6 cents.
I would keep
We're
it,
still not drumming up any business, but you're working on it still.
Yeah, it's getting a little better.
I would leave it. It's not a big moneymaker, but,
We're not losing money like we used to.
No.
Okay.
all right.
Okay, we're all set with that one?
Are we competitive with other disposal sites?
Yes.
Are we, is Boston still paying us a special fee?
They have not in recent years because they let the agreement lapse, so they don't.
So why aren't they,
There was a regulatory thing that Boston was required to have a site. They may have found another one.
well, could we investigate that? Because I know where I used to live in Boston, some of the houses were on septic, on-site
It's
septic.
like 3 or 4 cesspools left in the.
And- And I know that they used to pay us for to have an approved site. So I'd like to check that to make sure they have another approved site.
Okay.
And if they don't, they should, we should offer them our approved site. No holes in the ground.
Got it.
Right.
Okay. So we're good with that? We want to close the hearing on the rates?
Yeah, I made that motion.
I second it.
Oh, that's right, okay, Patrick. So it's moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, 500.
Make a motion, we adopt the rates that we discussed, which was for water, 1%, 1%, and 2.65, 2.65, listed as Tier 1, Tier 2, 3, and 4.
Want to do them separately? What?
Yeah.
Okay. Second on that?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor of the water rates?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Mr. Chairman, for sewer, make a motion that for sewer, a 5.05% for both in-town and out-of-town.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in-
I would like to see the tier rate for the future, so that's my comment for this.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll be absent.
Okay, you abstain?
Yeah.
501.
401.
Okay. Now, we have a few minutes. Do you want to discuss this MWRA memo?
Sure.
John, I got a championship baseball game.
Oh, good luck. Bring home the trophy.
We're trying.
Sure. So, Mr. Chair, back in May, I provided the commission with some information. Pradeep had some specific questions. And I know you and I had talked in my office about the current permit issued by the DEP, which allows for 2.7, these are more clarifications that these have come up, 2.78 million gallons per day, that's where we're at right now. We currently average about 2.3, so far for 24, we're at 2.4, so 2.3 and 23 and 2.4 so far. Would it be possible to use the connection near Top Golf? A direct connection can be made anywhere within the system, piping that they control. This will require significant undertaking, and Weston and Sampson advised it's likely far more expensive than the Mylon Street option that's currently proposed. Leah did put together a very detailed memo about alternative connections that came up. I think it was your last meeting and the meeting before that. That information's there. Bottom line, it's still expensive, as you know. Is a supplemental connection on Union Street, would have required connecting through Norwood. So it would, so that would be an option. I gotta tell you, I was with the Norwood general manager last week for about a conference for about 2 days. We specifically talked about this for about an hour. And he said, our costs are our costs. If I'm gonna tell you the same thing, I'm gonna tell your chair of the select board or your chair of your sewer and water commissioner if they call me. Our wheeling fee is our wheeling fee. If you want to connect, great, you're welcome to connect, and our costs for our infrastructure improvements are our costs. We're not looking to make other additional costs, but if you really want it, it's going to take money to buy into our system. So it is what it is as far as the costs are. So I put this together just to clarify some of that information and get a sense as to, you know, we've already prepared the warrant for the fall. I do have some time, obviously, I have a placeholder in there for the MWRA connection. I just need to know if you want to go forward with it, or do you want to pump the brakes a little bit, maybe explore it. I know, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned, hey, if we have to have a special town meeting or wait till the spring, that's certainly a possibility. Your call.
Right, yeah, my thinking on that, I'm not trying to sell my position, but we already have a contract and we're finishing up the package for the Mylard application, so we're not gonna lose any time, so to speak, right now, and the moving the ball down the field on that option. My thoughts are, they treated Sharon very differently than Walpole. Sharon's paying the equivalent of an annual bond fee for their contribution. They're paying $150,000 a year for 10 years.
But didn't they offer us the same deal?
No, not to my knowledge.
And Sharon is an emergency connection. Ours would be a
No,
steady one.
well, I mean, but the same argument can be made about that what's backing it up is the infrastructure. And the wheeling is the wheeling, whether it's paid or not. I mean, I think what he's missing, the wheeling is in itself a reason for them to do it. Because if we wind up using any significant water, they're gonna get $1 million a year out of us, forever. You know.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth, you know, I don't know what Leah did. I guess I'd like to hear from her again, and that this is maybe, you know, with Rick's managing her relationship here, but I think it's worth looking at the connection down 95 for several reasons. One, we won't have to pay a wheeling fee. So you're saving tens of millions of dollars of wheeling fees. So that opens the opportunity to invest more in the pipeline. In the line, I think the Commonwealth of Massachusetts owes us the easement period for the Siemens. The $20 million tip we gave the state, they should get the easement from us from DOT. And that's what I would tell our delegation at State House, our senator and reps. And if we do that, I think we can make a deal with Foxborough, and we can probably make a deal with Sharon to split costs. So that we might pay less than we're gonna have to pay up front with Norwood and have no wheeling fees in the future. And where this would connect would be right in front of Siemens. And since Siemens is the big gorilla, we can possibly suck them into the pump station project, which, if all the dominoes fell, it might be a very economic alternative. So I'd like just to look at that, not just dismiss it out of hand. I know it's out of the box. Maybe it's frustrating. It's frustrating for us because we've worked on this forever. But I don't think it's the only game in town. And I've never been of a position that we have to connect to the MWRA under any circumstances. I think we do have to be prudent with the funds of the community and be responsive to the economics of this situation. And it's dastardly. I'd like to tell the MWRA that they realize what Norwood is doing to us. I mean, they eliminated the entry fee so we can connect, and then the town in the middle decides to take advantage of it.
How much, is it true they want 15 million all told?
14.7 million.
Is that it?
14.7 million.
That's 15 million, okay, all right.
Norwood wants 8 million.
So all in, that's, yeah.
Okay. What Pradeep, and I have to thank you for noticing that Top Golf line that goes through there. It would never have to pay a wheeling fee, but the part that I'm interested in is that the MWRA, and we don't know their plans for the future, their plans may be to provide water to towns down 95. And it might be possible for them to actually help us put in a line from there to Walpole and maybe even beyond. So that's something that I put out some feelers about that, saying, is this in the interest of the MWRA to have another line running down south? So I haven't heard back yet, but I guess they're discussing it. But if it is to their advantage, then we're going through all this stuff with Norwood, and it may be moot if they're going to bring it down, if they want to do that, or if we share the cost, or if Sharon, it's going to go by Sharon, it's going to go by a piece of Canton. Does it go by Randolph too? Is there a piece over there? Anyway,
Foxborough.
any town that can benefit from it, Foxborough in particular, they could all chip in. So that may be really a financial, really an improvement on some of the other things like my lot.
Yeah, I agree with the.
But I know what the town administrator is saying. It looks like we're jumping around like a flea here. But the thing is, we owe the people to give them the most efficient and the most cost-effective way to through. If that means we have to jump from one piece to another and not make up our mind, then that's what we have to do.
The other thing.
And it's frustrating sometimes. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. The other thing, Jim, that came up was that there is right now a bill in the legislature to allocate funds to help communities who are trying to join the MWRA, to help them with the costs of doing that. So there's a possibility that in the fall that some additional funds may become available to communities like us to go towards that undertaking.
So that's the bill that passed the House and is headed for the Senate.
And we'll know by the end of this month.
Yeah,
hopefully.
and
So
we have a-
that's for current MWRA communities in the south section, one of which Walpole is not. For some reason, whatever reason, we were excluded. So right now, that bill as written and passed through the House does not apply, I don't believe, to the town of Walpole.
Have we told Mr. Rogers this or any of our delegates? I
I
mean, what?
think he would know.
Well, I don't know, they're supposed to represent our interest up there on these things. I mean,
So.
if his town is left out of the bill, well, you should
It's my
know it.
understanding there may be an amendment to include Walpole, possibly Sharon and.
Yeah, if we're not part of the MWRA, I don't know what Patrick's been doing for the last 30 years, going to all these meetings.
We're not part of the MWRA water
Well,
system.
I know, we're part of the sewer system.
I don't know who goes to those meetings or.
So anyway, and the other thing,
We don't even have good lunch anymore.
I think, and I think Bill and I both agree also that if worse came to worse and the economics, the stars didn't align, that it wouldn't be the end of the world to go look for the well site there at Jarvis or Minebrook 4 or do whatever. So, and I think, quite frankly, I think the Administrator Norwood is bluffing. I think if I told the selectmen of Norwood what he was doing, I think they'd pull his hair out. And I may, because
Maybe
it's
you'll get somewhere.
tens of millions of dollars they stand to take from doing nothing other than let us hook into their water pipe. And if he wants to play this game, you know, there could be, some sparks could fly here. I'm almost ready to get angry. And I could get, you know, my legislative expertise going up at the State House.
Just one note, you talked about that connection. In her memo dated May 28th, she did specifically look at the direct MWRA connection that you talked about. They estimate the cost to put the piping and to connect to that MWRA spot in Canton to be about $20 million. So she did look at it, but I agree, I made a note to myself that we'd like to see her talk through this. So that's fine.
So my position was that we should be in the Norwood position to make money out of that pipeline. Norwood is like trying to take money from us, isn't it? Billing fees and other fees. And the last memo which was sent, which contains the 5.2 million for pump station and the Norwood $7.2 million and total 14.7 million, whatever the cost it is, plus billing fees. So over 30 years, it was almost like 25 million cost to us, to the ratepayers of Walpole, if you go through all the billing fees and agree with Norwood as is. Now, the $25 million is a huge money for Norwood to make, isn't it? We should be in position to make money through other way by selling it to Foxborough or Canton, or I'm just doing hypothetical. It's not going to happen, but the idea is when we're investing that $20 million in a direct connection with MWRA, there will be more opportunity for us to recover that cost through different way. But when we connect to Norwood, there's no opportunity for us to basically get back that money other than raising the rates. And so we should look for that option where we have a direct connection. And there are a lot of other towns which don't have MWRA direct line. They're still joining it. MWRA has to plan the pipes for them. They are going to give them, let's say, Weymouth or whatever. I'm not sure whether they have pipes to those towns. So we should be in the same bucket of the town which wants a direct connection with MWRA. It may take more time, it may take a little more planning, but if Norwood is trying to pull our, whatever, strings or whatever you want to say, we should have plan B to be more on the safer side. That's
Essentially, they couldn't use $8 million being paid at once. That's not the way they're gonna finance their piping over 20 years.
He did say
So-
he didn't care if it was paid over 30 years or whatever. They didn't.
Right,
Well, that's a
my point.
huge difference.
I said he already offered that to you, it was in the memo.
It was.
That you wrote.
Well, somebody commented that, but they didn't really spell it out what that
It was
means.
in one of your memos, John.
I read my memos.
Okay.
So-
You missed it.
So you're saying that we could pay $300,000 a year for 20 years, 25 years?
Oh, he was open to that. He didn't have an issue with that. That's what they did in Sharon.
I told you.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I was a little confused.
And
when you
it was
said
in
that.
actually, the reason I shared the email thread with you, the whole commission, is because it was in his response to me. You know, the thing, yeah, let's call it 300 to the town of Norwood. But we also, I think off the top of my head, it's like 268 or 300 on the borrowing for the MyLog connection. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you're not only talking about, we're adding about, and again, this is the commissioner's decision. We just lay out the numbers. Steve crunched the numbers for $1 million gallons worth of water from MWRA. It costs about double of what the million to produce here. So we got to factor all that in. It's in that. It's not in front of me right here, but it's in that memo I provided to you guys with the exact. Because he spent a lot of time breaking that number down as to what the actual cost of the water is plus the Mylod Street cost. We can certainly do it. I feel like was it about $1 million a year-ish when all's said and done? The wheeling fee plus the extra added cost for the.
I think it was over.
I think it was 1.3
Yeah.
million minus the chemical.
That's to your budget. That's to your yearly budget when you factor everything in. And even if you spread it out,
Yes.
we maxed it out over 30 years, whatever we could.
And
Well, maybe we
in
should.
in the
maybe we should
MWRA
meet
number
with,
2,
Steve, and go over his numbers.
on the last page,
Yeah, Bill's got a.
yeah, and I did take into consideration that, you know, if we're using 1 million gallons a day of treated water, we would lower our treatment costs, you know, accordingly, and then you have to add the expense of the wheeling charge and not only, I came up very similar to the costs, the percentage increases that you had, Jim, but what I then took them and said, well, what is that going to mean to the actual bill for various users at, you know, points within our tiers 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you could, and, you know, I have FY25, you know, someone in tier 1 who would be paid $66, you know, taking into the costs that Jim has talked about, it goes up to $117. That's per quarter. So, and I did this because when we met back in February at the Finance Committee and Selectmen, one of the things they were interested in is, like to know the percentage, but also, what does that mean dollar-wise? So that's what the last rows on the information that I've provided, you know, tells how much it would, you know, as a ballpark as to what customers would be looking at.
Yeah, well, that's, at the beginning, I don't think we'd be using 1 million MPG anyway.
Some, I
For
think,
Norwood, that's kind of a high.
well, if we, I did it based on using that 1 million gallons a day, every day. But my spreadsheet set up that if you said, no, we're only going to use it for, during the summer, we'll adjust everything. I think, Steve, talking to you, your feeling is that the MWRA is expecting.
I don't think we have clarification on if we're getting a free connection, they're expecting us to use 1 million gallons a day.
There
Therefore,
should be average of all the, what they were doing.
well, I don't think we have clarification on it, so I would assume that they're gonna assume that we're gonna use that 1 million gallons every day, which we're gonna pay for. I believe, whether we use it or not.
But I would somewhat agree with that because of the, you know, they have, the MWA's got 50 million gallons a day that they're, in effect, putting on sale because they're hoping to be able to spread their costs, you know, their current costs. And that's why I think that there's a good thing that they might say, yeah, we expect you, if we allocate 1 million to you, we expect you to be using it.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the memo I provided to each of you dated April 11, 2024. I outlined all the options here available. Option 1, which is this 1 million gallons, with the 5.2 million for water infrastructure for the 30-year borrowing. Norwood infrastructure improvement at 7.9 million. Norwood 20% wheeling cost. Total cost for the budget itself with borrowing all this is $1.9 million. So we need to increase the water budget by, call it $2 million-ish.
Yeah, well, a way to get $2 million is just to defer our water pipe program 1 year. You spend $2 million a year
But we borrow
replacing a water line, so just defer it 1 year, and there's your $2 million right
But
there.
John, what is, in year 2,
Yeah,
now that middle, you either say we're never gonna do that
These
water.
lines have a 150-year life. If you defer them a year, you just keep deferring it
but,
for,
yeah, but we
Yeah,
borrow,
for 30
we're borrowing
years.
that $2 million.
Yeah.
You need $2 million in your budget, year FY '26, if you want, instead of '27.
Yeah,
Not just-
if you look at it the other way, if he wants $300,000 a year for 25 years, and your
So
pump
we
station,
estimate the Norwood payback to be $528,000 a year, and a 30-year note at $7.9 million. We're figuring a 5.25 interest rate on this thing. You know, is that high? Yeah.
well, if you're paying him $300,000 and you've got, let's say a $3 million pump station, you can almost cover the pump station with deferring 1 year deferral on your.
So the pump station's 5.2, and the 30-year borrow is $350,000.
Annual water line replacement program, you have $2 million there to play with. So your financing could be very narrow in those circumstances, if that's the case.
Whatever the commissioners would like to do. I just want to make sure that you know facts, that the budget will need to be increased one way or another. And I know you've been reluctant to increase it past 2 or 3%. I don't want to go, you guys are the policymakers, as Pat previously mentioned. Tell us what you want to do and we'll do it.
So everything's still on the table, and there's new methods of PFAS solutions coming out every day too. So PFAS ultimately may not be the end of the world. Like
We're set to receive about $4 to $5 million in a federal lawsuit that we joined. Within, by the, you know, going to start coming in at the end of FY '25, I think.
Mr. Chairman, a question to Mr. Nunnery.
Yes.
I sent you a list of all the water,
The FY
municipal water
23 like
systems.
water
Right,
comparison?
you saw them all.
Yes.
And you saw some that are totally on MWRA water.
Yes.
And did you notice anything about those prices?
The only thing I really noticed was the more people you have, your rates were kind of better because you can spread the costs out.
So, the towns that were on MWRA water wasn't necessarily higher than what we charge.
I didn't,
If you look at those things, because I did, and I was interested in how they could buy MWRA water and charge their customers less than we do.
well, the only thing I noticed was their populations were much bigger than ours on some of those. You know, they were like in the 60s, 80,000 people. So the economy scale.
I told you about, I asked Norwood, they said they mark up their wholesale, in average, they mark the wholesale water up from the MWRA 30%. The same water, Wheeling to us, they're only gonna mark up 20%. So in theory, the water we get from that system should cost less than the water we're paying for now. I mean, if those percentages are anywhere near correct. So, that's a problem. There's so much data and there's so much way to manipulate things with these estimates and cost figures and 25% contingency fees that blow these budgets out of the sky. We're just gonna have to roll our shirt sleeves up, Jim. We're not asking you to pull a rabbit out of a hat here, but I appreciate any information you get from your negotiation with, because, I would just like to get this guy from Norwood to be realistic, because we were told in the beginning, there's no reason to expect you would be treated like Sharon was, but we weren't treated like that at all, as far as I know.
And we got together with our consultant and their consultant, their DPW director, or Rick, Scott, me, all in the same room, and their fees, their consultant came up with these fees, Leah's reviewed them and said, those are the costs, but we tried to compromise and said, up at Washington Street, you want to split the difference with us instead of us paying for the whole, was it Washington Street? I think it was Washington Street.
Pleasant Street.
Pleasant Street.
Pleasant Street.
And, no, you pay for all of it.
Well, he convinced me, because I was in a position, well, pay whatever. But he convinced me, looking at it, there's no reason for that thing to cost that package to cost over $10 million for what we're trying to do here. You know, that's way more than enough. So we're just trying to figure out a way to do it. So
I have a question or a comment actually about the memo from Weston and Sampson, which is regarding the direct connection from MWRA. They have only made assumptions. I don't see any real information about they being meeting with MWRA and giving us actual information. Did they meet with MWRA and do they have cost analysis of the direct connection with MWRA to Walpole? So this was, I think, the May 28, 2024 memo. It's all assumption. There's not much fact. If we are looking for a direct connection with MWRA and trying to compare with Norwood, we need the real numbers, real
Yeah, we can certainly have Weston and Sampson look at that more thoroughly.
And she did say these are high-level costs, because I think she wanted to turn it around quickly, because you discussed it, I don't know, at one of your meetings in May or something.
Yeah, so that's the comment I'm trying to say, that, you know, the whole letter looks just assumption. There's no, this is public information in general, so there's no data for us to
I think-
analyze.
Quite honestly, Pradeep, that's kind of like a view from 30,000 feet.
Yeah, that's what.
So
yeah.
we haven't really, I don't believe they being Weston and Sampson has really dug into it too deeply yet.
Yeah, so that's my comment for that.
One
Yeah.
thing I'd like to, it looks like that line that goes to Topgolf or thereabouts, looks like it services just Canton and Stoughton. And I want to make sure, who owns it? Was Canton and Stoughton put it in, and if we want to use that line, that we're going to end up with Wheeling, or is it the MWRA, is it an extension and owned by the MWRA? That I would want to find out.
That's correct. We need to know if you are.
Because we might run into say, yes, coming down, we're connecting direct, but if we're using somebody else's pipe, we may end up.
No, if we own the pipe, then it's a different data, isn't it? If MWRA owns the pipe, that 5 minutes of the pipe.
Right,
then
but if
it's
they
a
don't,
different
and Canton says, oh, wait a minute, you're using our pipe that we put in to get, since they're partly on water, I'd want to make
data. I
sure.
think that's MWRA pipe. So anyway, we are talking assumption, that's not
Right.
like, you know, we don't have clear information about that.
Yeah.
there's the Westwood Dedham Water Company, they own that line that goes to the Canton location there. And that was funded by the MWRA.
Okay, that's
But
my
then
only,
The line does go across, whatever the name of the street is,
over to
Dedham
where,
Street
yeah.
in Canton, over the highway. But I think at that point somewhere you could connect into 95.
I'm just saying, you know,
Make the
in
run.
addition to getting some more detail, it looked, well, I've seen maps and it is in a different color, like almost, it's not considered the same as some of the main lines that the MWA definitely owns.
They put it later, I think.
Yeah.
This was like 5 years back plan kind of thing.
So,
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you for coming in, Jim.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Keep us posted.
You bet.
Sorry to make you wait, Mr. Petrosi.
That's all right.
So I'm going to step out of the
this
room,
is
turn those
the
things over to
spreadsheet,
you.
if you want a copy of it, and I can get it to you.
7 o'clock appointment.
Is it basically on another page, there's the emergency only, the MWA, all the, another worksheet has all the debt. So if you change that, everything ripples through.
Changes.
Yeah.
So we
Scott,
have,
I thought there was a coyote walking through the, it's not a coyote. It isn't. It's a dog that looks like one.
we have a representative from Wall
Mr.
Street.
Petrosi, what do you talking about, is it the Union Street?
Yes, we're still talking about Union Street.
Well, that's what I was thinking, does John think we're talking Darwin Lane, in which case he doesn't have to leave?
I don't know.
Oh, does he, oh, okay, I take that back.
So this is about Union Square
This
Village
is Union
development.
Street, yes. So, let me just set up this thing here.
Pat, wake up, wake up.
Get a chance to see these guys' car out here. They live in they live in it, yeah. Wow.
Revenue possibility. Get out there, Steve.
I'll look at Sticky.
You don't know.
Thank you, Lou Petrozzi for Wall Street Development Corp. If you may recall, a couple of meetings ago, we had we just had a discussion regarding the proposed Union Square Village off of Brook Lane. And since that time, the zoning board has approved the project. And we've talked about, at that time, the possibility that the commission may want to replace the water line on Brook Lane out to Union Street. And at that time, we discussed exchange of the connection fees for the work, to do that work. What I presented to you tonight is, this is a cost estimate that was provided by the town engineer. It's broken down into two parts. One part is the cost to do the work out on Union Street. And the second part is to do the work on Brook Lane. And the bottom section is the total of both. So as you can note that to do the total job, according to the numbers that currently, for your current water projects, total cost is $105,000 to do this work. Now at that time, the commission was going to determine, in fact, whether or not this water main actually needed to be replaced. And secondly,
We have a plan, don't we, for this?
if the water main was gonna be replaced, the consideration of waiving of connection fees for the project
got the
in
little
exchange
ones.
for us doing the work. So, the commissioners made a recommendation to the zoning board, which was not consistent with what we had discussed in the April meeting. So I'm here tonight to find out whether or not the commission is interested in doing this work and whether or not there's interest on the part of the commission to waive the connection fees, similar to what you did for Bristol Square at the last meeting, to waive connection fees in exchange for work to improve the system. So that's really kind of where we're at right now. I'm looking for feedback. My understanding is that Union Street is going to be paved. It's on the schedule. I don't know if the DPW commissioner can speak to the date of when that's going to be paved, but my understanding is that it's imminent. So if we're going to, if you're interested in working with us on this, then we
try and
need to
find
get a
out?
decision.
When that's being paved?
I believe it's soon.
Well, let's find out. This thing of comparing apartments versus, you know, the amount of cubic feet
So
per
to summarize,
unit.
can you just give us
So-
like, are we, you're saying there's a different information whether
This is my house. This
all
is
the lines needs to be
Pradeep's.
replaced or
We're in
few of
different
them?
neighborhoods.
Because there are two
See,
different
but-
letters.
Well, I just gave you the background of what my understanding was when I got a copy of the commissioner's letter to the zoning board, April 16th, I responded back to the sewer and water, mainly repeating what we had talked about, and that what was in that memo wasn't what we had talked about. So, what's in my letter of May 10th is what we talked about, which is replacing the 6-inch main in Brook Lane with an 8-inch with the possibility of some discussion of adjusting entrance fees. That's what we talked about. But that was not reflected in the memo to the zoning board. So we just need to clarify what you folks want to do.
I think the memo that just said we were going with what the town engineer was suggesting went before we'd met, and we never sent a subsequent letter to the
Well-
planning board.
Well, I don't really know, but it says the commissioners, this is your memo. We are in agreement with the town engineer letter dated March 18th.
Now, who was that addressed to? What was that?
The
to?
zoning board. Zoning board.
Not the planning board?
Yeah, no. Two
Okay.
items that have been added by Mr. Fasenello, added the utility
Okay.
easement, which we're providing. And number 7, where the town engineer suggests replacing the existing 6-inch main on Brook Lane with an 8-inch main, subject to resolving land ownership issues. Well, there are no land ownership issues on Brook Lane. You got the two mixed up with Burns Avenue and Brook Lane. Burns Avenue, the looping of the water main is where the landowner issues are. Brook Lane is simply
Right.
the cost of doing the work in exchange for relief on the entrance fees. So that's why I felt the need to come here to clarify, but as you note on number 7, the town engineer's number 7 is replace existing 6-inch main in Brook Lane to be discussed and receive recommendations from the water and sewer commissioners. So I had thought, based on my recollection and watching the video of the meeting, is that we agreed, or we're on the same wavelength as in terms of doing the work in consideration of a waiver of entrance fees. So, and the impetus here is that, like I said earlier, I've been told that Union Street is on the list of streets to be paved within soon. And if you want to do this work, we should come up with an arrangement sooner rather than later. And that's really kind of where we're at.
Rick, when are we going to,
I believe it's on for this construction season.
okay,
I'll check and confirm that.
Which is like, what's the,
This summer.
so through September, let's say.
Right.
So we're perfectly willing to engage in this work. And right now, we're at the point where we're starting the infrastructure on the project. And these things take time to coordinate and to schedule and to, and
how many units are there? Is that 15?
it's 15 houses. So even if you were to waive the sewer and water fees, it wouldn't amount to the same, it's still a shortfall of $30-something thousand.
So I guess I have to ask the question, why would you be inclined to waive the fees?
No, we're discussing.
Because it's an infrastructure improvement that we
It's an
don't really
infrastructure
need to
improvement
do.
that the zoning board required.
Well, not necessarily, they voted to go with the town engineer's report recommendation, which is have a discussion with the sewer and water commissioners.
No, but if it is inside your development, inside your subdivision, any pipes, then it's your responsibility, not.
Well, it's not in my development, this is part of,
How
this is a
much
public way that we're talking about.
How much is?
It's From here
Okay,
to Union Street is the public way.
and how much long is that calculation?
That's what this estimate is, to do this work, $105,000.
So $3,500 per entrance fee, which is what we charge right now, times 15 is $52,500.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, it's not enough for us to cover the cost, but it is enough for perhaps some accommodation for us to work together on it. So, this is not, we don't need the water main replaced to do this project, we're happy with what we have.
I would just suggest check the zoning decision before you make a decision regarding the waiver of fees.
So what's a zoning requirement to basically replace the water pipes before the more houses comes up?
Right, I believe this reference to replacing the water main
Okay.
on Brook Lane in the zoning decision.
Right.
And also, you know, we also have the right to appeal that
You
decision
can
too.
appeal, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
so,
fine.
so I think, well, the purpose of my visit tonight is to sort of get on some level ground here. I mean, it's an expense, like I said, we're perfectly able to do it without going out to bid or doing the prevailing wage. We're just expect to be treated like Bristol Square or any other arrangements that you've made with private developers on their projects. So, I know Bristol Square, you made a pretty good accommodation recently for them to do off-site improvements. I don't see why we would be
Yeah.
treated any differently than that.
Well, what I was just looking at is, in the case of Bristol Square, the West Walpole, the whole part of West Walpole has substandard fire flows. And that's what they're
Right.
willing to do.
So it's no different here. You
Well,
have-
this is a smaller thing, but what I was looking at is, okay, if we waive 52,000, you're saying if you do it, it would cost 100,000?
What I'm saying is that this estimate was provided by the engineering department based on your water projects that are underway today in the
Right.
town, which all went out to bid and are at prevailing wage, as you know.
So I would want to know what would it cost you?
Well, not that much, not as much as 105. I haven't put out the bid because to us, it's not work that we're planning on doing, so.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to pay prevailing wage.
Exactly.
Yeah, So I would want to know that.
So what is your suggestion? I mean, I'm not,
Well, we're comparing
let's say,
cost
I
of
would
us
say.
doing it, which if you're doing it, we're talking two different costs, I
Yeah,
guess.
so,
I would want to know.
I would say the prevailing wage prevailing wage is probably about 30% higher. What would you say, Rick?
Yeah,
About
probably 30%.
30% higher than what we could do privately, so.
So
we're
that
talking about a
100,000
project
might be
that's around
70,000.
Yeah, we're talking $60,000-$70,000. And there are some things that we would probably do in addition, because our project, we want the roadway to look nice and be nice, so we'd be paving it and topping it and looking at, making it look nice. So I'm saying that what I would guess is that the fees are almost equal to what our cost would be to do the work. I'm not looking for you to kick in and over and above what we would want. This is clearly what, if you put this out to bid for this work, this is kind of what kind of bids you would receive, about $105,000. So, but like I said, I don't have a private contractor bid on it yet, but I would bet that it's gonna be lower than this number, by probably 30% or so. So, if the commission votes to do that, then we'll make arrangements to schedule the work as part of our infrastructure installation.
Anything more? Do you want to wait for the zoning board, their letter or something?
Well, certainly we can check that. What I'm looking at is that if we do it, we would get 50, 52,000, and we would spend
105.
105. Does that sound right, Rick?
Yes.
And now if they do it, it costs us nothing, except we don't get the 50, we would get the work done for 52,000, which we're, waiving.
Right.
Sounds, I'd go with that.
You want to vote today or?
Minute,
So I think we are like in agreement that if the cost is less, we can give the waiver, but we need to see whether it's a zoning requirement or not. And
Well,
once we get,
That's not really fair, that's playing, I mean, I'm not interested in going back and forth, and this is my third time here on this particular item.
yeah, I
I
understand.
don't think you were here at the last meeting that we had the discussion, but I don't think it's particularly fair to treat me any differently than you treated Bristol Square or whoever else, LaRusso, or any of the other people that have
No,
gotten
it's I think
concessions.
when you're comparing with Bristol Square, they had, other than water pipes, they had a lot of other improvements. They had sidewalks,
Whatever,
and a lot of town improvements to their project, so.
I'm offering to do the work, whatever the zoning board put into their decision. I haven't seen it yet, I'm not sure I'm gonna be happy with it. You can, we could be here back 6 months from now after the road is paved, and you wanna do it, and we're gonna say, bye-bye, we're not doing it. So, trying to be as reasonable as possible and as.
I guess the other thing would be if we say, the zoning board is not requiring you, in their decision, to your knowledge, that Brook Lane be upgraded.
Their condition, as far as I recall, was that they were, whatever the recommendation of the town engineer was. Now, the town engineer's recommendation, as you note in
Is
the
for
memo,
an 8-inch
is to meet with the sewer and water commissioners, which is what we're doing tonight. So.
Oh, I think that the engineer wants the 6-inch in Brook Lane replaced with an 8-inch. Is that correct, Rick?
That's the recommendation,
Right,
yes.
so that's what the engineer is recommending.
Correct. So, for us, it really doesn't, we don't really need it. It's not, we have 15 houses, it's a dead end. We've offered to loop it, but we're prevented by the landowner dispute.
Yes, and you're
So-
giving an easement
We've got.
as far as
yeah,
we can go.
Yeah, we've
Right.
provided an easement as far as we can on the plan. So, it's really just kind of like a trade. Improvements to the system versus a waiver of fees for certain amount of on the construction, so.
My thought is, if we can get what would cost us $105,000 based on our town engineer department estimate, we can get that work done for, have somebody else do it, and it'll cost us, not real money, but waiving $52,500. Rick, you're shaking your head. Am I not seeing that correct, or?
I would wait for the zoning decision and read it first.
What's gonna change between the zoning, you're saying that if.
Well, I mean,
the zoning-
I would look at the thing, but as it's, I have watched the zoning board. Now, I don't get to see the actual decisions.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it either, but.
But if it does
doesn't-
that,
What difference does it make what the zoning decision says? It's gonna say what we're talking about, whether or not we're gonna do the work versus waive the fees. It's not a, let's see what he says and then we'll
Well, does the
stick it to
zoning
him.
decision say anything about waiving fees?
It says, according to the town engineer's recommendation, the town engineer's recommendation is to be discussed and receive recommendations from water and sewer commissioners. That's what his recommendation is.
No, that is to replace the water pipe, isn't it?
So,
The
say
recommendation,
it again?
the recommendation from our board was to replace the water pipe, and town engineers agree with it, isn't it?
The town engineer made the recommendation. This,
Yeah.
the commissioners here
Yep,
did not make that recommendation, okay?
yep.
It wasn't on your, I mean, this project has been around for 5-6 years, and this commission, the commission has never made this recommendation. We're entertaining it because we had a friendly conversation 2 months ago in April where the commissioners expressed a willingness to do this. So if you're not interested, you're not interested. We'll let it go at that. It's not gonna affect our project.
My personal position is because I'm kind of confused between, what is required by zoning and what we can extend. That's my personal position. And if it is straightforward information, I can, basically.
Do you,
go for it.
let me ask you a question. At the last meeting, you were instructed the water superintendent to find out whether or not it was whether or not it was necessary to replace the water main.
Let's assume that it is necessary. Yeah. Let's assume that it's necessary. Now the question is whether it's necessary by zoning or whether it's by town engineer recommendation, or it's that.
It needs to be replaced, it's priority one.
Okay.
On the water main replacements within 1962.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'm on page with Bill that, if we give the entrance fee waiver, it will be cheaper for us to get the same infrastructure there. So that's our position. Patrick?
What?
You have any opinion? You're not talking, you have any opinion?
I know, because I don't, I've never been in favor of this, getting rid of our fees unless it's really something that the town is going to improve the town to such an extent that nobody would even think about it. And I've done it very few times.
Yes.
And actually, Bill, I think you did too. I think you're with me on this.
Yeah, they have to be significant, and that's why in the Bristol Brothers, they're addressing fire flows for the whole west part of Walpole.
Their project is 110 or something units, like 10 times
Yeah,
the size of this project.
Well, we have experts here. We have the Director of Public Works. I'd like to hear from him.
I just offered my opinion.
Would you use the mic, please?
Yeah,
he says, wait,
Right. I offered my opinion, just read the zoning decision before you make a decision.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to when the plan is filed for an application, the plan is referred to the various departments for recommendations. Whatever happened to that philosophy? Now you're reversing it. DPW director is saying, well, let's wait to see what they say before we say anything. That's not the way this works. The plan gets filed, the application gets filed, it goes out to all the departments review the plans, and they make their comments and recommendations. They don't wait to see what the decision is before they make their recommendations. That's ridiculous. Either you want it or you don't. Whether or not another board requires it done doesn't mean that that's gonna get done. So, I think it's
Pat, unless you're in agreement, we don't have a vote, because as you know, we require 3 votes.
Right.
And at
There's
best
no
it would
vote
be
here
a 2 and
tonight.
Yeah, at best it would be 2 and 1. So we can't decide tonight, and John wouldn't be able to. Jeff, I guess, could, and unfortunately he's not here. If he was here and agreed, we potentially could have 3 positive votes.
Yeah.
So,
That's okay, if the road gets paved, the road gets paved. It's not gonna be my problem.
all right,
All right, thank you. On, Mr. John. Comment request? Member of planning board.
See you later, thank you.
Thank you.
yeah.
So we are on the, we can start from the beginning.
You can have
Comment
that.
request.
Okay.
There's probably others, but it's like,
Just to summarize, there was no decision.
some of
on
them
that,
are these, like, Congress
this
Street,
topic. Yes, sir.
1960s.
Oh, Brook Lane?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have the Alserabi Estates. What do we got there, Scott?
This is the one that was up of 109, and they want to extend.
Yep.
Line. The responses and comment
Say again?
The response is in line 21. Oh, comments on that line.
Water main at the Starlight Drive entrance has been depicted in the advertisement. Is understanding that new water main and hydrant are tested and in service. Is that the comment we're talking about?
Say it again?
The line 21, the comment number 21?
Yes.
Okay. There's nothing for us to.
So what do they want from us here?
Any comments that you have?
You
I
know,
believe you already done.
I think it's already approved, yeah.
Okay. That's what
Huh?
I'm saying.
Yeah, comments were due by June 4th.
because, you know, the whole point of me being interested in this is trying to connect the two areas there. If that's not gonna happen, then I really don't have any interest, except from the public safety viewpoint. They're gonna have enough fire flow and everything, even though they have this area that's gonna be developed more and more, and it's not gonna be ever connected again.
I think that's a question to you, Scott.
Can you repeat the question?
Huh?
What was the question?
Well, you know, right now, we have a connection with the German club. You know how they brought a line in and they connected that whole area, the apple tree area, I call it. Then we have this new area that they're building, they have built. And it only has one connection to County Road. That's it. It doesn't have any redundancy. It doesn't have any real flow. And I thought that by, you know, when these people wanted to do something here, we could have them connect up to the Apple Tree Lane subdivision. And if that's not gonna happen, then, I don't see what we can do.
I understand you brought this up before, you wanted to loop it
Huh?
through. You wanted to loop it through more, you brought it
Yeah,
up.
I want them, yeah, right. And that would give, in case something happened on County Road, they'd still have water. Because dead-end streets, don't forget, if something goes wrong, they have no other way to get water. And dead-end streets aren't the best, from the water point of view, the best thing to have. But they've made all these streets dead-end, basically, in the new area they're developing. And as soil and water commissioners, we probably should point that out and say that's not the best thing for the town.
No, I agree that you loop through more if you can.
Of course, we could bring a line in through the,
MWRA.
yeah, through the woods.
But they have added the easement, isn't it, on lot 3?
What page you on?
This is second 1A. If you go to 1A, page 3.
There's no page numbers.
Yeah, I know. On 1A, 1, 2, page 3.
Last page?
Last
No,
page,
second to last
yeah,
page.
second last page.
All right,
It says
yeah.
that at the request of Sewer and Water Commission, a utility easement to be granted to the town has been added to lot 3 for potential future water main extension.
Yeah, well, that's, okay, so they put that in, but
Yeah.
it still doesn't really, help it. Yeah, I had seen that they had that in there. That's the least they could do. But anyway, all right.
So I think for us, it's read and noted.
That's it. Yeah, I don't know what they want from us.
It's already been, the comment period's over, it's June 4th.
Yeah, they want our blessing?
Read and noted.
Sound good.
Okay.
Now, Hilltop,
Hilltop, yeah. On Hilltop, I'm very concerned that they want to put in more than household quantities. Now, we make these rules on purpose to protect the watershed. And we're the Soil and Water Commissioners, so we're the guardians of the public water. I don't know why we'd ever say, oh, you can put in more than what the rules say. So I think that they should be limited to household quantities. And if they're gonna do things that need more than that type of chemicals, they need to do it someplace else. But not in our watershed. And we've already tested this area, and we know that it goes into our aquifers because of the parcel across the street. So I don't have no problem just saying no to these people. They can't have more toxic material than is allowed.
I see a lot of the issue is the impervious cover being more than 15%, and that they're going to be up to 51. And I was just looking at where the usage of toxic chemicals being greater than household limits, and I mean, they're talking about the issue is the impervious coverage, not chemicals, unless I'm missing something.
Well,
oh,
yeah,
wasn't this guy
well,
in?
it was,
We talked
the
about
whole point of it was that they wanted more than household quantities.
I don't see it mentioned. All I see here is concern about, they're gonna have a big parking lot or the building covering greater than 15% of the lot coverage.
I thought they were repainting vehicles and
Yeah.
using the lacquers and,
But I don't see anything mentioned here.
Well, is this something new that they've changed it?
Is this for the body shop?
It's a car barn, not,
Car barn.
It's not a body shop, they're not paying cars.
no.
This
Well,
is
that was in
storage
here,
unit.
didn't we talk to the
Yeah.
guy who was telling us
No,
about
I
painting
don't know.
cars?
They had a painting booth.
But that's, this is for luxury vehicles indoor parking.
These are high-end cars that are stored over the winter months.
Yeah. And the issue is that the part that it violates is the impervious coverage is way more than the 15% or 2,500, something, square feet,
If I remember correctly, they do not do body work in this facility. This facility, Scott, you were at the design review committee, so you can elaborate on it, but I believe it's just storage of high-end cars for those that want to store them for the winter.
Didn't this guy come in here and talk to us?
Yeah, it's
And
like a
he
very
was
mobile
asked,
item.
he said he had another business, he's moving here, he's gonna have a paint shop, and he's gonna paint vehicles in this barn.
Yeah, but, now look at it, says
There was
here.
another one, I listened to the zoning board, the last meeting, and there was somebody who was doing that, but he was talking about, I'm gonna have less than 50 gallons of whatever, and they made a big issue. Nothing, this is a different project.
Scott, which is the one that you sent Commissioner Fascinello the link to? Was a special permit, or was a permit for the storage of?
I don't think it was this, I have to check which one.
Exactly, and that's where I think the confusion is. They're two different projects.
Okay, what's a car barn?
A car barn is a storage facility. Think of it as a barn. Anybody that owns like a $500,000 Lamborghini that doesn't want to drive it in the winter
Said
will have it stored at this facility.
they're only gonna have household quantities of material on the site, is that correct?
They're gonna have cars on the site. I don't even know if they're gonna have any
Household
material.
quantities of prohibited materials,
I don't think they're working on the cars, they're just storing them.
No, they're just storing them.
huh?
They're not working on the cars, they're just storing them for customers.
Yeah, but,
The cars-
They're not-
okay, answer my question though. Are they gonna have any materials that are more than household quantities?
No.
No, then, okay,
What's the
then
name of the
why-
company?
The issue is a
Don't
different
they have a
section
business somewhere else?
of the Aquifer Protection Bylaw,
Right.
and it's the part that deals with impervious
I
coverage.
think there's a little confusion, Commissioner Fascinello, between this particular project and one other one that you had seen in the general area. I believe that may have been on Fox Hill or...
Dry-crete waterproofing.
No, that's
No,
a
it was
different,
The one that Commissioner Fascinello was talking about was an actual body shop, I believe.
yeah.
Oh,
Drycrete is,
but it's the same address.
We can clarify.
it might be in the same building. They've built the Drycrete folks.
All right, so
But
what-
they're in the basement flooding thing, is their,
So who came before us asking for that waiver?
which waiver are you talking
The
about?
one about using more than household quantities?
I don't recall it. I don't recall them coming before us.
I don't believe anybody came before you. I think there was correspondence that was in your package relative to that.
And it was concerning these people?
No,
No.
No, it wasn't. We're talking about the lot across from, on Fox Hill Drive, right?
this is at the corner of Hilltop and Route 1.
This is,
Adjacent to,
This is Area 3, Water Resource Protection Overlay
Yeah.
District 3.
and is this on Fox Hill Drive?
It's on Hilltop.
Or whatever the name is, whatever it's called?
No, it's a Hilltop Drive.
Huh?
No, it's a Hilltop Drive.
It's located at 2216 Boston Province Turnpike.
Where is that?
That's Route 1.
Second page.
Yes,
It's
I
on
know
Route
that,
one.
but
Yeah.
where? On
it's near,
Route
it's
1?
near the entrance to the preserve, I believe.
Foxborough, near Foxborough, almost near.
Near the what?
The entrance to the preserve, which is Hilltop Drive.
Come off Pine Street, make a right
Yeah.
on the left.
So they're not asking for any waivers or anything?
So what do we,
Hazardous
why is this here then?
Because,
This information.
yeah,
Commercial industrial development shall be on lots of at least 40,000 square feet. 15% should be impervious.
Well, you know, I like the idea of not having impervious, because that means I can't get into our aquifer if it's impervious.
well, the issue with that is we'd like it to be pervious so that clean water can get into our
But when-
aquifer so we can do it.
They're addressing the impervious issue, the impervious cover issue.
Yeah.
Through recharge and all the groundwater infiltration.
Yeah,
But you want to reach out for
Surface
clean water.
infiltration.
yes. It'll be roof water coming off.
At Jarvis Farm, we want impervious area
You do.
that drains into a,
Eric, can we
Disposal area.
move on to another item?
Okay, seen and noted, right?
Okay.
all right.
Correspondence number one, which is the Darwin Commons. Interesting thing is the zoning board has closed the hearing, so they're not taking any more comments. But they did make a change in that because they have an impervious coverage issue that they're saying, oh, we'll replace this with these pervious blocks so that the water can go through. And the comments was, we're concerned about what gets on that pavement. We don't want it to go directly without any treatment. But, they could ask for comments, but the hearing is closed earlier this week.
That's what they do at Riverwalk. They have this special type of block. It's pervious.
Oh, yeah,
And all the sidewalks and everything on that block.
We have them here.
yeah.
I'll load it.
So if there's really nothing one can say on that, they are not taking any additional comments because they have closed the hearing.
Okay? So, what does that leave? Nothing.
Discussion of Warwick project and Fox Hill
Oh,
Drive.
yeah, that wasn't discussed?
No.
Well, Warwick,
There's no,
this is the one you had we have the big plans over here.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, you were looking at those.
We had made our comments. Did this one get remanded, do you know?
Which one?
The Warwick, I think, for some reason, I think that one was remanded back to whether it was zoning or planning. In which case, I think we had said that we were all set with our comments initially. Our original comments. And we're getting that confirmed by the cable TV person, and he was there, he remembers. So I think we have addressed everything in the package.
They're also looking for comments by May 16th, which is over.
Kind of tough to get that one.
All right,
Make a motion to adjourn.
beautiful. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sometimes you have to second your motion.
When is the next meeting?
4-0.
When's our next meeting?
The next meeting is July 1st.
Okay.